Once entrepreneurs understand how software development works, like there is a process. It's this iterative, um, agile manufacturing process of the software. Once they get that and they understand how to invest in that, I think it kind of unlocks a superpower in much the same way like understanding how to talk to investors is a module that you have to get from the matrix of life.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why? Hi everyone, I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Ben Johnson, a serial technical co-founder with a track record of success and hands-on open source programming experience. He has a wide range of being both a board level advisor and founder, but also an in-depth understanding of how things work. So Ben, I'll leave it there because I think all of this is going to sound much better coming from you. So first, let me just say thanks for coming on the podcast today. Thanks for taking the time out to come and chat with me. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming to share your story.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's start with that. Let's start with your background. Tell us a bit about yourself, kind of what got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up in small town Colorado and had a paper route when I was young and was an early computer adopter as a youngster. But then in college, I got super into computer science and just have really joined a bunch of businesses at an early stage, been the go-to tech leader for their trajectory. And I've done that in travel and a couple of online advertising companies and media organizations. And then in 2015, a buddy of mine and I started a company that we sold to LegalZoom, a legal tech company, and sold that to LegalZoom in 2018. So I've built about 5 different businesses from early stage to some levels of success. And then now I am the CEO of Particle 41, and we are an elite group of software engineers, data scientists, and cloud professionals. And we love accelerating small businesses.
Fantastic. I'm going to preface all of this that I am not the most tech savvy person, so there may be some questions that'll sound dumb to you, and I apologize in advance for any of that.
No worry, no.
But so you've started a couple of companies yourself, sold to LegalZoom. One thing, I mean, I love talking to entrepreneurs and business people. One thing that I think doesn't always translate is being sort of good at a skill, in your case, tech skills, and then also being good at business. And so I find it interesting to kind of hear like how you tied the two together, how you feel about even that statement. Like, I just feel like there are certainly a lot of people that are very technically good at something, but maybe can't translate that into a business. And now you've done it multiple times and sort of continue to do that. So I think that's maybe a good place to start the conversation.
Yeah, so I think once entrepreneurs understand how software development works, like there is a process. It's this iterative, agile manufacturing process of the software. Once they get that and they understand how to invest in that, I think it kind of unlocks a superpower in much the same way like understanding how to talk to investors is a module that you have to get from the matrix of life. Because it does take time, but you can also kind of hack it to suit your needs. So I think if you're thinking about like an example of this would be if you're thinking about starting an Uber-like two-sided marketplace. That's going to be very challenging because you're going to have to serve both supply and demand, and the technology expectations for both of those two channels are high. So I would say, well, if you're just starting, why not start out with the tech-enabled service? just start a really good cab company, use technology to bring in leads to but technology is best suited for a business that understands their internal operations process and wants to optimize that and then tie that into the customer experience. And that's what technology is super good at.
And sounds like, is that sort of exactly what the business model for Particle 41 is that you're trying to help business owners realize that, where they, hey, we're doing this thing and we need the tech to support it. Is that kind of where you come in with that, or what's your angle?
Yeah, so we sell elite teams. So when businesses want to do some sort of digital transformation or application modernization, they want to modernize their systems or become more efficient, then we put teams in place. So our target customer is the 10 million to 100 million, and we have customers all along that trajectory. For startups, I love startups. I'm kind of a startup guy. And so I have a school curriculum for startups. Like, here's the things you need to get started. Go do this work. Do a set of experiences or a set of exercises, and as you do that, you can counsel with me, and I'll get you to a place where you can either raise money or further define your business with maybe some more manual processes, just to really establish the business mechanics before you go try to invest in software. And specifically, we work with custom software, all kinds of custom software, and we get that ready in the cloud. So our services and the types of industries that we can serve is really wide.
Yeah, I mean, and that was actually kind of leads into to what my next question was going to be, is so you're working with, I'm assuming you mean, is that the revenue number, 10 million to 100 million?
Yeah, they should be earning revenues in those ranges. For us to just be a good fit partner doesn't mean we don't work with startups, but those startups are funded. And then I created the school.
Yeah.
Particle Accelerator is a school classroom. The SKOOL. I keep saying school, and maybe I'm not being
Yeah.
understood. But yeah, we have digital courseware on if I'm early stage, like I might not have gotten my first round of funding yet, or I may be still trying to figure out product market fit. And we have a curriculum there because I love helping people all across the trajectory personally, but our working culture is better for folks that understand how they want technology to get them further. Like, they have a clear mission, because as we supply these elite teams, there needs to be a mountain to go climb. And so we may not be the best fit for everybody if the mission is not clear.
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess that also correlates well with, sort of looking at in that revenue band. If you've got someone, maybe like you said, startup, or maybe even, early business, but not producing enough revenue, they're not going to have necessarily the bandwidth or the capital infusion to be able to support something like this. They may not be at the point to be looking at kind of these advanced technology
Yeah,
tools
their
in
needs
there.
aren't clear yet because
Yeah,
they haven't created their needs. Yeah,
yeah,
that's there's kind of this chicken and the egg thing that happens when you're at an early stage, um, and so you just got to get really specific on what's the first smallest thing that I need to accomplish. I feel like the entrepreneurs that are best at this are the ones that have a broader product vision, but they can piece it out in small pieces and go get value out of that with a group of customers. Like, those are the best entrepreneurs that can just think iteratively in small pieces. I think they tend to be much happier with the results of a software build.
that makes a lot of sense. It, I guess, high level to me. Can you? I'd love to actually dig in on that statement and kind of how that looks practically for your customers, because I think, I mean, you hear a lot in the business world and entrepreneurship where it's like you should, start your company with the intent of it being maybe as big as you plan it to be in the end, right? So you start putting systems in place right from the beginning and all that. all that sounds well and good, but sometimes at the beginning it's just you, or it's just you and one or two other people, and so I think sometimes practically that's not always easy. And I'm maybe I'm not interpreting this right, but I'm almost feeling like you might be suggesting a little bit of contrary to that, where it's like, if you're doing this in pieces, if you can break your offering down into pieces and focus on each one at a time. I would love to hear kind of you explore that a little further.
Are you planning a remodel or construction project? Overwhelmed by the process? Over budget? Extended timelines? Strained relationships? We are all too familiar. At Lark Construction Services, we help homeowners and business owners take control of their construction journey, from reviewing bids and contracts to catching red flags before they become costly mistakes. Our Clarity Audit is a one-on-one expert review of your plans, estimates, or current progress, giving you the peace of mind and a defined action plan to move forward with confidence. Don't let confusion lead to costly errors. Visit larkconstruction.com and schedule your free call today. Lark Construction Services, saving you time, money, and stress.
Yeah, I think it's kind of going back to I can't get off the two-sided marketplace example, where the way you're envisioning it, it can be broken up into smaller chunks. So rather than wanting, this is hard for early stage entrepreneurs to understand, but yes, you go figure out your large product vision, who your customer is, what's the problem you're trying to solve. But then you do innovate and try to solve it simply at first. And so somebody who can have a broader product vision, kind of multiple horizons in their mind, and then say, okay, but for horizon one, like to start earning dollars, this is specifically what I need. And if you're a services business, that looks a little bit different than if you're a product company. So if you're a product company, then you're looking for, how can I fit in the marketplace with a small enough product that starts to build interest as I build into a particular group of people with that particular need.
Mm-hmm.
And so product company, yeah, it's a little bit harder, but then for a product company, you should be able to go get investment, and you're going to progress that company a little bit differently. For a services business, you just need to go offer the service with as little tech as possible, and then figure out your SOPs and your how you function that business, if just with email, calendar, spreadsheets, and just simply without anything too custom. And then as you establish that, as you productize your services, then you start talking to technology. You probably improve the number of subscriptions that you pay for of off-the-shelf software. The danger is that off-the-shelf software doesn't usually produce a custom user experience.
Sure.
So as you start to want to do that, and maybe for your business, that's a mobile app, or it just depends on your particular service. But services need to be in, the millions of dollars before they're too upside down on custom. They're probably still establishing their business process. So like, I would love to work with a $10 million services company, because I know that they would love to optimize their workflows and, build up their marketing. And now they have some money to do it. Now they're becoming a regional leader of their service. And, they could definitely get an ROI on a digital transformation.
Yeah, that is, I mean, the services industries would probably be where I would be most familiar. I work in the construction space. I have worked in the construction space, and I'm looking at business acquisition in that space. But implementing tech is one of the things that I think about it a lot, because, as I said, I'm not particularly tech savvy, but I think that's one of it's an industry that's probably behind on technology and usage and sort of optimizing where that can come in. I think a lot of construction companies and services from that world, that they're probably a mom and pop business that started 30, maybe 40 years ago, maybe even longer, and they've gotten by with sometimes handwritten notes, but sort of best case scenario, it's Excel spreadsheet. And so coming along, deciding to implement more technology, and there are some off the shelf solutions out there. And I would imagine that what a lot of people do, and even kind of, I guess, how I had looked at it when getting to that point is like, oh, I'm going to go and research which of these I think might fit the best with me. And I would imagine if you do that, though, you're probably going to have to make some sacrifices or adjustments to work to what the software does, rather than bringing, sort of having a software developed that does what you want it to do. And that's
Yeah.
really kind of the difference of what we're talking about here, right?
Yeah. So in construction or even manufacturing, the one thing I hear most often is we have a bunch of tools, but they don't really work for the number one question, which is my material cost going to be far less than what I'm billing for the finished product?
Right.
Like, is my supply less than my pricing? And so is cost of goods sold staying in region in the realm of what I need? And what's always interesting there is then there's waste and cutoffs, and how do you analyze all that effectively? So I still think there's an opportunity, but in the current market, it would be, okay, well, what tools are you using? How do we suck all that data out of them and then build some sort of sidecar that answers this question more effectively? And we would use AI and data tooling to come at that. We wouldn't necessarily say, oh, you need to build something custom to do all your business. We would try to evaluate, what is your current SOP? Like, how are you measuring waste? How are you measuring cutoffs? What are your supply costs versus, like, what do you expect? And then figure out how to go straight. Like, I think my business is really about going straight for what is that outcome that you need, so that we don't have you over investing in something that's not stage appropriate for your business. That's not right for your business.
Right.
But a lot of brands want to have a really interactive relationship with their customer, whether you're a B2B software or, that becomes really important to your business, that you have a custom experience. And so I think those are the situations where we really shine.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, one example I think that I've come across a lot is, and you hear about this all the time in the construction world, is like the amount of time that contractors spend on estimating and bidding out jobs. And it's like, it's shocking to me. And I'm sure there are some tools out there, and there are even, I've seen companies have come, like, marketing to me to say, hey, we do all the bids, we do all the estimating for you. And I'm like, I don't understand exactly how you would outsource that to someone else without knowing literally every piece of data that goes into the bid and expenses, and then what you're going to. So to me, what makes more sense is to create a software, some tech solution that's maybe AI driven, that you're feeding. Every material that you buy goes in there. So you're essentially constantly tracking all of that and letting that software do the bidding for you, so that then when you're doing a similar job, you're literally just like, here it is, and it should be quick, and you don't have to spend 2 days looking at this bid to try and get something that's just right. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying it, but that, like, to me, I'm like, those are the things that need to be out there, and maybe it does need to be a custom designed solution.
Yeah. Well, and so as you go out into the market as one of those construction companies, you'll either build, buy, or partner. And so I offer a service called CTO Advisory, and I talk through the different options across build, buy, or partner. If a services business wants to say, hey, we want to build this, then the risk there is, it's not just, okay, so then you have let's say you have $200,000-$300,000 in build cost of a custom software.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have marketing. If you're ever going to get that money back, then you would have, so when you go to market your digital product, and many of these softwares that you see in the market today probably did start out that way.
Sure.
But you can't just spend your profits from your services business on the launch of your software. You run the risk of being an unprofitable services business, right? As you do that. So
Right.
most of them at some point disjoin and they form a separate company for the product company, and they separate those books so that it's really clear. This is the product company and this is the services company.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I guess I don't I don't have no illusion that I'm like some grand tech founder, but when I think about, oh yeah, let's create this AI solution for bidding, I'm like, well, probably other people would want that. And so then it's like,
Yeah.
well, does that become a business of in and of itself to develop these things? But I guess the the challenge then there, or maybe the opportunity for someone like yourself is the integration into another business that can be very you just targeted and specific to that person's business practice at that
Yeah.
time, and it may, the same reason why I might want that custom software is everybody else is going to have the same, probably same idea that, oh, I there are some things out there, but I want one that does this and this a little bit differently. So I would
That's
imagine
right.
that that's where you know what you're doing really becomes a super valuable option for people to have once they have the revenue and the systems in place to to know what to do with it, I guess.
Yeah. What we're doing a lot of right now is we are offering a sort of glue between it's data engineering, or think of it as like connective tissue to folks' data sources, which is all the things that they're partnered with, all the different SaaS softwares, or in construction, maybe even desktop softwares. But we're collecting all the data from all the different systems that the business is using, and then offering AI automation along, in those things, along with software development and cloud engineering, to really glue their systems together and give them what they're specifically missing. So if they're missing that quoting tool, then sure, yeah, we'll build that. But that allows us to offer, to really support them and keep costs confined, and not kind of upend, right? I don't think folks are doing massive digital transformations anymore. They're really doing more of like a data glue, to bring everything into like, what is the actual result we need? Like, what do we need to improve about the way our business functions?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's as I said, it's not something I feel like I know a lot about, but I find the technology solutions that are available and being developed to be really incredibly fascinating, and to be in a position that you are, and at a time where uh, AI is a big topic, but I think finding the use cases for AI, and allowing people like myself that maybe don't know exactly how to best integrate it into what I'm trying to do, like that seems to be, I mean, such an important space to
Yeah.
be in.
I did this thing this weekend. I downloaded my Netflix watch history, and I uploaded it to a project on ChatGPT.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm turning this project into like my butler. Like I'm loading all my family's preferences, and our even some of our budget type stuff in there, and I'm like loading this thing up, and I'm still in the like, what else could I give this thing stage?
Yeah.
But as I give it some of my personal data around my family, now I'm trying to see like, what could I get out of this in terms of, it did turn me on to like a cartoon that I didn't know about called Stugo. That's actually pretty entertaining as an adult, and like I could watch it with my 6-year-old,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I already got some value out of it, but I think like that's what people need to understand is, even personally, if you want to get more use out of AI, you got to start giving it information.
Right.
And you got to kind of start organizing the information too from like different points of view, like creating different personas. And that's not hard. That's not super technical or anything. It's just a matter of like like thinking through like where could I get this data and turn the AI onto that so I got better quality like interactions.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not even sure where I saw this, but I saw something to basically, exactly what you just said is ways to get better at prompting AI, and most people are familiar with ChatGPT, I think at this point, but ways to get better at prompting it to get the answers that you actually are looking for, and not just some like random piece of information. And it's like you mentioned persona. It's like to tell it you want it to be, an expert in this particular area with high level experiences and stuff, and so it's fascinating to me that's what we have. It's like you think about it as this, I don't know, very technical, computerized, non-human tool, but at the end of the day, what seems to be working is treating it more and more like it's human in the way that you would talk to it and ask it questions. And
Yeah, I mean, there's some like I think the security and privacy thing isn't going to be. I think that like enterprise businesses are super careful about that. Like they're really scared of the liability around that. But what's actually happening is we're all giving our data to it. Like we're going to go in voluntarily,
right,
um,
right,
and give it, because that's what you would do with like an executive assistant or something,
yeah,
or a personal assistant. You would give them access to all your stuff. And then only then could they actually be that valuable. It's like there's this value exchange between revealing information and getting something done properly.
yeah. That's very, very well said. I think, and I hadn't even. That's a perfect example. It's like you have, say you're an entrepreneur, you hire that first executive assistant, or even maybe you hire a personal assistant or a nanny or so, someone. Basically, you let someone, a helper of some sort, into your life, and so the way to let them be effective is to give them more and more information about, if you go to the example of a nanny, it's like they're probably going to know just about as much about your kids as you do. And you don't necessarily, you wouldn't think, oh, I'll just put everything there is to know about my kids on the internet. But you're sort of uploading all that information to that person in essence. And so it's a similar.
Yeah, I think that the width of that, like by putting it in ChatGPT, I'm giving it to everyone. That's where there is a little bit of fantasy.
Yeah.
Like yes, it is rows in a database, and if OpenAI wanted to analyze that information and then summarize the broader, I don't know. So I think that's the gap where it kind of a little bit of science fiction's coming into our fear. Right there
Yeah.
is that like that's not going to be people would stop using ChatGPT if their account information, which should be easy for them to protect, like we've been having a bank account for years.
Yep.
And that information stays reasonably private.
Yeah. It's figuring out that, like I said, that gap that exists between the information that we're actually putting in versus what we're putting in, what we wouldn't want it to know, and trying to keep those things separate.
Yeah, this is what makes AI a little bit immature, like right here what we're talking about. Because imagine if you wanted it to be your personal assistant, and you said, I want you to book my airfare, I have a trip coming up on September 24th and to the 28th, and you wanted it. So in order for it to suggest good fares and timings, like it'd have to know a lot about you. For it to charge your credit card, it'd have to know your credit card. For it to like, would you give it access to your bank account so it could tell you if you had enough money to pay for the card?
Sure.
Like you would give it all this information, and then that would be kind of like root level information.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's kind of the next wave of things, is how do we make all of that more secure, so as consumers we feel comfortable using it as a personal assistant. Um, and then how is that the security of all that governed? I think that's kind of the unanswered questions that we have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes so much sense. We tend to, I think with technology that the tendency tends to be a little bit of, start off fear-based, and then people start to figure out like, okay, how can we implement this in their life? But it's like, people are afraid of, some people are afraid of AI, but iPhones have had Siri, there's Alexa, like it's already happening, like it's already going on. You can put your and maybe not everybody does this, but like you can have your credit cards in your Apple wallet, or like other, whatever. There are ways that like all of this stuff becomes very accessible. Like I would hazard to guess that most people, I mean, you can go on Amazon and you can use the buy now button, and it's like you literally just click one button
Yeah,
and it buys it. Like that means you already put all the data in. It already like it already
yeah,
has everything it needs to know to send that thing to your house like same day,
yeah.
basically.
If you're a travel agency right now, um like American, like, or a brand, major brand, you're trying to figure out some kind of like travel assistant AI or whatever, just to hold on to the business,
Yeah.
because somebody's going to build that, um, and I don't know if it'll be like one big company or a bunch of small companies that you go give your information to, but for sure, like we're ready for that convenience.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, that's probably a little off topic of your it's a fascinating topic, but not to detract from talking about your business. And I mean, I guess in part a lot of this is your business because you are providing those technology solutions for your customers, and trying to meet them where they're at. So I think AI will be involved, and it'll be, I think some of what we just talked about, in that you will have to decide how much of that data is okay to trust the software, if you will, I guess, to
Yeah.
have access to.
What we're doing on a daily basis is we're finding the business data from the partnerships that the company has established. So those could be those could be CRM solutions, ERP solutions, um, even the whatever apps that are out there that the different folks are using. We channel all that data into a system, and then if they have AI workflows that they want to do off of that data, we certainly help them with that. Sometimes as the business grows, even reporting off of that stuff so you can make really good
Yeah.
decisions, is part of the thing. And then we're of course building a ton of mobile apps. We even have one team that's doing a VR headset solution. So in the Oculus, they are building safety experiences for our client, like safe forklift handling, or um, little like video game sequences that basically make sure people understand the training material, and then they have that time logged in the training sequence. And so then if they do malpractice, if their employee does malpractice, then they like, better. You spent hours in simulation
Mhm.
for this,
Yeah.
and so that's cool for healthcare, and industrial economy.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the beauty of all this, is finding where that software or where that technology can be used. And you mentioned, um, those safety trainings. I think it's just th- probably the uses are almost endless, in so many different cases. You talked about the tracking of data, and that's one of the things that I think, going back to that sort of the idea of a bidding type of software and estimating software. It's like you can take the data and compound your ability, you compound your accuracy basically by feeding the data on the front end in terms of cost, but also like, okay, we made this much, this was our profit margin on that particular job. Like, do that 50 times, 100 times, and then feed it back in and say, okay, tell me how I take this profit margin from 15 to 20%. Like what would you do? What does the AI suggest? Where can we cut? Like those things I think will be tremendously useful for business success in the long run, but it's going to take some time to get it developed.
Sure. Yeah, it's making the like as we're making the data more aware for AI purposes, we're also making it more aware for the humans.
Right.
And so, yeah, organizing the data and investing in your data to say, hey, we are going to ingest all these different solutions and all these different tools that we use and see where the data, where the key outliers are, where the abnormalities are. So if you're running a small call center, you pull in your IVR data, and that tells you a lot about, um, do you have calls abandons? What's your hold time? Like, are you really reporting and looking at that? And then how do those calls correlate to the orders that have been placed? So modern data systems, this is trivial. This is like a trivial thing. We just pull in the IVR data, we pull in the CRM data, and we combine it up into business reports. And then, okay, I want to do something about that. Like I want to send an AI-based phone call to the abandoned calls and try to get them back. Okay, cool. Let's make sure that happens with the right vendor at the right time.
Yeah. No. I'm actually very I'm excited to implement technology in my own businesses, but I mean just overall really excited to see what happens with all of this stuff, like solutions that
Yeah.
exactly you're providing. I think these things are just it's almost like the technology has gotten so good that it's like now it's like, okay, the human creativeness the human
Is the
creativity is
only barrier.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's like how many
Yeah.
things can we think of to use it in what ways, and it's just it's really really fascinating stuff to me. So super super cool. um
Yeah.
well, Ben, let me switch gears here. I want to ask you the question that I ask every guest, and the first one is based on the name of the show being Know Your Why. So I do ask every guest, what is your why? We talked a lot about what your service provides and what good it's really what good it's going to do for businesses, but what keeps you going? What keeps you excited about the future? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have I kind of have my life structured in compartments. So faith, family, fitness, finance,
Mm-hmm.
and so work is really that finance category, that final one. But I am a man of faith. I'm a Christian, so my purpose statement starts with "I glorify God by," right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
very um, that's a very big part of my life, and kind of everything is originated under that. And then my family, I'm a family man. I have 4 kids. And my oldest is 22. He's done some amazing things. And so some of my why is to be worthy of some of his proper behavior and some of his accomplishments.
Yeah.
Um, because I see how much like he's sacrificing to achieve his goals. And that really inspires me. And same with all my kids. Just they're a huge part of my why, and being around with them for as long as possible, being able to invest in experiences and memories with them is a big part of my why. Um, but I exist to glorify God by leading others to overcome challenges and accomplish their life's ambition. So, my strengths are like achieving. And then, my primary question in life is, am I successful? And so that's also become my primary gift. I love making other people successful. And I'm 48 years old. And as I've gotten older, I have turned from a like really a growth need, like this core need in my life to grow, has really transitioned to, yes, I still want to grow, but I really want to grow by helping others, by having contribution.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love making other people successful. So that's why I really want to help people achieve their life's ambition. And I love helping people overcome challenges. And so that's kind of my central purpose statement, that kind of drives my why. And that why, like my why has gotten me very far. I once was in a competition with another dude, and my why was well framed going into the competition. I ended up standing on nail boards for 20 minutes with a weight above my head, just being super locked in on my why.
Yeah.
And um, and so I got that 20 minutes was really helpful for me to get super clear, and vivid in my mind with what I could recollect when I was having self doubt.
Yeah, that's standing on nails will certainly we talk about on this podcast a lot about, you know, how we can use our why to get through hard times. That's a very maybe acute and extreme example of of that type of use, but I mean, I love it. I think that's it. Like exactly that's exactly why I named this, not necessarily standing on nails, but that's exactly why I named this podcast this, and why that's so compelling to me in hearing people use really, you know, the things that are important to us, like truly important to us, to push through something difficult. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
going to be that, you know, sort of that extreme example, but most of the time it's, you know, getting through a you know, tough tough time in the market, or whatever, you know, whatever it is, addressing your business challenges, all of that, I think is just
Yeah, I've had that. I
phenomenal.
mean, I've had those too. I've had those moments of. I remember one of the businesses I was working with just had a security incident, and that was just really tough. Like a huge spike in important kind of, like, you know, there's a little bit of reputational harm in the security incident. That one was
Yeah.
that you had to dig deep,
Yeah.
and then but also stay inside your frame. Like I couldn't just shift to like not going to the gym or not taking care of myself, because then
Right.
if I crash, then who's going to take responsibility for this, right?
Yeah.
um so yeah, just to share like a vulnerable moment there. And then yeah, I mean, as you're dealing with family, and you're having kids, there's so many different cycles. So you know, I don't know, like I've experienced that, like after having a kid, in those 6 months to a year after having a kid, can be some of the most challenging times for couples.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
super challenging. She's got to give all of her attention to the kid. uh you know, you're kind of like, hey, it just human reaction is kind of like, well, what about me? You know, you don't want to necessarily feel good about expressing that.
Right.
So so yeah, that's just a really tough time. So my wife and I have spent invested a lot in personal development, ministry coaching, and we love helping other couples and entrepreneurs into through some of those challenges to get to a place where they have freedom and just can manage the trials of life, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. It's and needed. Yeah. There's we have two kids, not four. Two is enough for me. But
Sure.
it's, yeah, it's there are certainly a lot of challenges and also joys that come with it. So I think it's just you know, understanding how to navigate those hard times, because overall it's really like, I mean, it's the greatest experience of my life. So um Ben, when people hear this and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out? How do you want to, you know, sort of, how do you want them to find you?
Yeah. So the best way is just to go to Particle. Unfortunately, I have a pretty common name. So you go to LinkedIn, I might lose you. I would just go to particle41.com.
Okay.
And if you book an appointment, book a call on that site anywhere, it goes directly to me. So I'm extremely easy to spend time with, and network with. You just got to go to particle41.com and book an appointment. And then, yeah, then we can chat. about whatever challenge, both what challenge you're having across all four things: faith, family, fitness, or finance.
Yeah. That's fantastic resource for people to know they can chat about any of those important facets of life. So, well, Ben, thank you for coming on the show. We'll definitely get that website in the show notes. Thank you for being on, talking to me, sharing everything that you did. Though I am not of highest technical knowledge, it is a space that's incredibly fascinating to me. So I just feel like I was able to learn a lot, and I look forward to staying in touch and seeing what Particle 41 does. It's just fascinating stuff to me. So thank you for this.
Oh, my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Well, folks listening, make sure you connect with Ben. Go to his website, set up a chance to chat. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get great guests. And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?